Welcome back to the channel for another Steam Deck video. We're going to take a look at my picks for 2023, the top games for me that I played on the Steam Deck. These don't have to be new 2023 releases, though I think most of them are, and they certainly don't have to be the most popular games, but they're games I was drawn to and played the most throughout the year on my Steam Deck. Now, the only rules really were that, of course, they had to run on the Steam Deck. I had to spend a good amount of time with them, and also they have to have videos of me testing them here on the channel that you can check out as well. Other than that, all is fair here. So jumping into it, the first game, Armored Core 6 Fires of Rubicon. And I gotta say, this one caught me by surprise, not just playing it on the Steam Deck, but just playing it in general, as I'm not a big fan of like the Souls type games. I do play them just because everybody seems to, and I did play Elden Ring 50, 60 hours, something like that, but are they really my kind of game? Not necessarily, but I do love mech games, and this one really hit the spot, even with the difficulty. I really enjoyed playing through Armored Core 6, so definitely a top one for me on the Steam Deck. Now, Baldurs Gate 3, of course, our game of the year, and I do realize, especially getting into Act 3, performance for this game is very, very rough, so be aware. I'm only about halfway through Act 2, maybe 3/4. I'm trying to get to Act 3 for some more testing in the future, but this game's massive. It's hard to get enough time. And this also isn't necessarily my style game necessarily, first off, but this one really did get me. Love Baldurs Gate 3, and even though it can be rough, I did play it a lot on the Steam Deck. Now, the third game could be a bit controversial. I know there's a lot of feelings when it comes to Starfield, and especially its performance, and I get it. And I found myself having to actually use some mods on the Steam Deck. There's a video on the channel to get better performance out of the game, up to 10, 11 FPS more actually, and it really did help a lot. And I have to say, bouncing between my main PC and Steam Deck, GeForce Now, I actually did use my deck a lot to play through a good bit of Starfield, and it's a game I also enjoyed, so not too bad here on the Steam Deck. All right, next up, Sonic Superstars. And again, this isn't a big release, but it was a new Sonic 2D platformer to come out in 2023. It's only about a 6-hour-long game, and I played the whole thing on my Steam Deck and my Steam Deck OLED. It plays at 90 FPS pretty solid, which was a great experience when I got the new deck OLED, and it looked great on the screen. And for me, this was just a lot of fun. It was a decent 2D Sonic side-scroller, and it played great on the Steam Deck. So I put it here on the list. Now, another colorful and fun game that I enjoyed on my OLED as well and my LCD deck was Ratchet Clank: A Rift Apart. Now, I beat this over on PlayStation 5 originally, jumped into it on PC, and I gotta say, I played a good amount of it on the Steam Deck, surprisingly. I know performance can get a little janky here and there depending on where you're at in the game, but I found it fairly playable for the most part when I wasn't jumping over on my PC. And this was a really, really decent game in the franchise for Ratchet & Clank, one I had a lot of fun with. So definitely wanted to add it here on the list. Now, Mortal Kombat 1 is another one here that I found that I really enjoyed in 2023 jumping on the Steam Deck. Now, I didn't do anything online or competitive because the 60 FPS issues, it does struggle a lot of times, though there have been updates since the footage you see here to get a little bit better performance, but it really depends on what you're doing. But for me, just a fighting game in general, Mortal Kombat 1 was the best in 2023, and I thought it ran well enough for me on the deck that I did jump into it a good bit when I wasn't playing on my main PC. Diablo 4, definitely a huge fan. They made some things happen with this game I might not have loved, but ultimately, Diablo 4 is a game I've really enjoyed, and it played great on the Steam Deck. Again, older footage here from when I tested around launch. It does run better now. You could run it through the battle.net or on Steam since it's for sale there as well. So I definitely found myself jumping into Diablo 4 a good bit on my Steam Deck, especially during the summertime at launch, and it was a lot of fun, so I had to throw that on this list for me as well. The Dead Space remake, I'll be honest, the remake is the first time I actually played all the way through Dead Space. And yeah, it had some performance issues on the Steam Deck, so did Callisto Protocol, but I must have played a good 30% or so, maybe more of my playthrough on the Steam Deck when I wasn't playing on my main PC. And not only that, this was a great remake, and I'm surprised I never really finished the original. I actually went back and started playing it after I beat the remake. Fantastic game, and I enjoyed it on the Steam Deck for the time that I spent with it. Now, Robocop Rogue City, I've called this game a gem, a hidden gem really in 2023. I love this game. If you're a fan of 80s action movies or Robocop, this really scratches that itch. It's a lot of fun. Performance can be hit or miss on the Steam Deck. This is an Unreal Engine 5 game, and it depends on where you're at, but I did find myself jumping in a good bit and trying it out, and otherwise using GeForce Now here as well on the Steam Deck to really play through it. But Robocop Rogue City, one of my favorite games of 2023 actually, and here on the Steam Deck. Now, next up, Monster Hunter World. This game's had quite a resurgence the past couple of weeks at time of making this video. We had a peak the other day of like 100,000 players, and it runs great on the Steam Deck and in HDR on the Steam Deck OLED. And this is a 2018 title. It's got some age on it, but I wanted to throw it in here because I played through this on Xbox and I have recently started on PC. And I gotta say, on the Steam Deck, this is just a fantastic title to go through, along with Monster Hunter Rise, really, but World is a fantastic title on here. Hogwarts Legacy. Now, this game's performance definitely is hit or miss, but I will say a lot of the time I spent with Hogwarts Legacy in 2023, especially back at launch towards end of winter here, was on my Steam Deck LCD back then, and I have been playing it some more on the OLED lately because really the OLED screen kind of makes everything feel new. But I think Hogwarts Legacy was one of the best games of 2023, and it ran decent enough with some tweaking on my Steam Deck to be able to enjoy it a lot there. So definitely a top title for me over on the deck. Now, our 12th and final game that I'm going to throw on here is Cyberpunk, specifically Cyberpunk Phantom Liberty and our update 2.0. They've done a lot to overhaul this game, especially the past 3 years, and I'm really happy to see that the state that it is in now. A very good game, Cyberpunk, especially with Phantom Liberty, and I found myself between locally and on GFN using the Steam Deck to play a lot of my Phantom Liberty playthrough, so I had to put that on the list, one of my tops for 2023, even if DLC. All right, guys, that's going to wrap it up for my top 12 games, or the 12 games I felt gravitated to play on my Steam Deck that ran decently enough in 2023. Definitely hit up the comments and let me know your top games for 2023 that you enjoyed on your Steam Deck. Handheld gaming is definitely something that, as a dad, someone who works full-time and does content for YouTube and all that, I find handheld gaming very useful. I always have, and especially now with the Steam Deck and other handhelds, the type of games we're able to play on the go or while we're doing other things is pretty fantastic. All right, guys, thanks a lot for coming to check out the video. As always, I really appreciate it, and I'll see you in the next one.